Well, John, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's our last podcast of July.
Get out of here.
That would be July 2021.
2021.
There's also, for those of you who are interested in the archives, there's a last podcast of July 2020. But don't ask me to remember what we talked about.
Right.
So I'd like to welcome the new listener. This is a conversation between John Donovan down in Oceanside, California, who is the gentleman who created this process we call accountability practice. And I'm Marty Keller here in Sacramento. I am a devotee and practitioner of this work with John. I had the privilege of sitting for 3 years on a men's work with John here in Sacramento back about 10 years ago or so. And I was able to begin to learn this at the knee of the guru, but I'd be less than honest if I said I mastered it by the time John moved down to San Diego. So I continue to do this work. I continue to explore the mystery that I am, and by extension, working with others to explore the mystery that we each happen to be. And so just before we came on camera, John asked me how I was, and I said, I'm feeling unloved. And the way I know that I'm feeling unloved, John, I didn't say this to you, but the way I know I'm feeling unloved is I find myself agitated and caught up in a drama that has very little to do with the actual ongoing reality. So in this case, I was getting myself upset about new mask mandates, and I was creating stories about what that's going to do to our church and what that's going to do to our meetings. And instead of finding a way to turn this over to my higher power, I just found myself spiraling deeper and deeper into what ifs and oh my goshes, and a very, very familiar place to be. Very, very familiar place to be. And I've done this work long enough to know that there's a tinge to this energy. I don't know other words to use, but there's a tinge or a color to this energy, which is in back of it, I'm feeling unloved, which is I'm disconnecting. I'm hiding out in my drama. It's almost like the image I have is I'm curling up in the darkness because I'm safe by myself. And so what I know is that's not going to work. That's not going to work to produce what I really want. And sometimes when I get seized by this feeling state, I do the accountability tree on my own, and it doesn't produce anything in the immediate moment. It produces a script, so I can even make myself think I got to what do I want. But the truth is, what I want is to feel this way. And that's what I'm not owning. That's the truth I bypass when I'm in this energetic state. And so what I've come to understand is, and it's a mysterious process, why it is that just from time to time, this feeling of being unloved, unlovable just shows up. There may be external circumstances that are mirroring family of origin situations. I don't know. I probably don't need to know, but it is interesting to me that I can go along for weeks and weeks and weeks without this energy, then boom, it shows up.
Right.
And so you said, do you want some loving? And of course I said yes. And so then you proceeded to give me some. Let me say it straightforward. You proceeded to love me verbally by sharing with me the way that you see me.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking for you, so if that's not true, let me know. But that's what I heard.
Yeah, that's what I see in you. That's what we lose sight of. Our brilliance, our compassion, our contribution, our givingness, our
significance.
significance and the value we bring to whatever community we decide to be in.
So, yeah, thank you for that. So what I wanted to talk about, that's just a setup for what happened. So when John said that to me, I felt this energy in my body from basically my upper chest into my head, and I was tearing up. And I said to John, this, after I just sat there with it, I said, I can't name this energy. It feels like sadness, but I'm not sad. And it's not gladness, because I'm not feeling glad, although there's some kind of shift going on. And then if you'd be willing to, it'd be great to hear you share with all of us what your insight was about that.
I suggested to you to consider whether it was the experience or the feeling of healing. The definition of sadness my definition of sadness is hurt healing. So we use a word to describe the emotion. We've come to an agreement that particular feeling is sad, and then we assign judgment and blame and why, and it's actually the reconciliation of past trauma. It's the healing of maybe being ignored as a 3-year-old, and it doesn't matter what it was. It matters that something was healed, which opens space in you for your authentic self, for your concept of self, for your manifestation, and for we manifest out of our total experience.
Right.
We talk about, the reticular activating system and the survival mechanism, that 7/8 of our experience is held in the subconscious, and that's where we hold our trauma. 8/8 of our experience are drawn upon each decision we make or thought that we have. So we're drawn on this misinformation or unresolved pain, and the results are addict, codependent, avoidant behavior. And if we just notice, you just notice where you're at and said it the best way you know how, I'm not feeling loved, and then opened you up to receiving something different. And my trauma came in the presence of people, and what I've come to understand is that my healing comes in the presence of people. And when I first got into recovery, that's the bad news, because I really didn't like people. I don't like being around people. It's like, oh my God, I gotta go to a meeting where all these people are talking about, stuff, and now I still go to meetings, and I'll go to a meeting and they'll do the opening statements, and I'm just in this gratitude, sadness, this feeling that just permeates my whole body, in gratitude for those rooms, for the space to heal, and for what it brought me, and then what I've now created, and actually what I've received, and which I am now willing to give away. Give that which you wish to receive, or if you got something to hold on to it, necessarily you give it away. So.
Yeah.
So this work, this intentional living accountability process, I call it the accountability tree, is about the process of self-discovery, finding the person that got lost underneath the mountains of trauma and conditioning to be good, or be the right person, or do everything good, be good, and then allowing me to flourish, to be who I am. I remember not so long ago that I just had this thought that I really like who I've become to be. And that was a milestone in this work, is that, oh, I like who I am. It's like when I first started this recovery, it was, I didn't want anybody to be like me, especially my children. I did everything I could so they wouldn't be like me. Now,
Too late.
Yeah, it's my wish that they see me and then become whatever it is they want to become. So cool.
So what you just said brought up to mind a prayer that one of my brothers in Unity Movement sent me this week. It's called the Medicine Woman's Prayer, and I'd like to share it with you and everybody here. Throw it up on the screen. It says, "I will not rescue you, for you are not powerless. I will not fix you, for you are not broken. I will not heal you, for I see you in your wholeness. I will walk with you through the darkness as you remember your light."
Wow.
So I think about what you said about going into the rooms of recovery and being in a place where there's something else going on that allows us to learn about ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nobody, I was allowed to speak. Nobody judged it. Nobody said you're wrong. Nobody said, oh, just kind of, like change it a little bit. And that's the way I go into facilitating. That's why I go into this conversation with you, is that you are not powerless. You don't need my fixing. And your healing is up to you. It's your choice, your stuff. And if you're willing, we'll make an agreement that I'll sit with you as you discover yourself.
Right.
You made the reference to guru. I would own sage, but I think guru is a level of being that I'm looking to attain. I'm looking to get
right, and it's a term that in English probably doesn't what it means in the original language.
Right. Yeah.
I remember Ken Wilber was talking about this one day, and people said, people call me a guru, but I'm not a guru, I'm a pandit.
Right. There you go.
And pandit, I guess, means teacher.
Right. Yeah. If you think I'm a guru, come out and go on the golf course with me, and you see how guru like I am.
Yeah, exactly. So. But I do think that. But let's look at that a second. I do think part of the power of the guru is in helping train the projection of the devotee.
Yeah.
Because the devotee is also a guru in training.
Right.
And the devotee doesn't know yet that the qualities that he or she sees in the guru are within him or her.
Right.
And all the guru is somebody who's created a realization that the devotee hasn't done yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I listened to this guy from India, his name is Sadhguru, and he was talking one time about, the adulation that comes towards him. And he said, when you're able to look at me and you really see who's there, that's it. And I've been like contemplating that, because I see him as enlightened. I mean, I'm one of the ones that are like giving him adulations that he so eloquently expressed wasn't his. So I'm okay. Who is he? Well, he's me in a process. He's human being. He's aware. He likes to ride motorcycles. He likes to play soccer. He's just he's a human being like I'm a human being, and we're both looking for the same thing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I like to tell this story when oftentimes when I talk in my church about Jesus, because we do the same thing to Jesus that we do to the gurus and to the Buddha and all of the avatars and the realized ones. We project our divinity onto them. And there's this great scene in Jesus's life as he's coming to the crucifixion, and he's just had what's called the Last Supper. He's just had this gathering at the Passover meal with his gang, and he knows something's coming, so he decides he wants to go and get quiet. He goes to the Garden of Gethsemane, and he is in the meditative state. And all of a sudden, he's overcome with fear, and he goes, "God, take this cup away from me. I don't want to drink this."
Yeah.
And in one of the gospel versions, he actually sweats blood.
Yeah.
And I love that story because it's as if the gospel writers are trying to remind us Jesus was a human being like we all are.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, fear not to walk in the steps.
Mm-hmm.
Because it isn't because Jesus was some kind of Martian dropped in here from another planet, but he's one of us, as was the Buddha. And when you read the Buddha's story, you see that not only did he go through a lot of suffering and pain before he woke up, but he also went through suffering and pain after he woke up. But he had an utterly different relationship to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so,
both of those men had the capacity to feel deeply. And it's like my own perception of being okay or recovered is to feel good, be okay. Well, no.
yeah, if only.
And to feel and be aware of wherever I'm at. If I'm struggling with my daughter who is struggling, then feeling the intensity of that, not like going, "Oh, I want you to be better." No, I'm seeing you and seeing in her brilliant, loving spirit moving to make her whole or lessen or whatever's going on with her. And instead of fixing her, participating with her in the struggle, being that support place. And because I tell you what, I want to fix her. I want to fix it for her. It's like it would be, please give me the power. And it was like, and no, and I can support her. And this goes for, well, both my daughters and my grandson. And well,
sorry, folks, we had a little technical glitch there. So something that you want to do for your daughters, your grandson, you want to do for me? And
no, I mean, it'd be so easy just to fix her, just give her the damn answer, and I don't. So it's like I'm observing her go through her life experience, knowing that she can handle it. She's gonna move. She's a brilliant, loving spirit doing this thing just like I am, and okay. And if she needs something, she'll ask me.
Well, it's like that last line of this medicine woman's prayer: "I will walk with you through the darkness as you remember your light."
There you go.
It seems to me that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and the people that are closest to me, I want to like get them to the light quicker. It's like, come on,
right.
Just let me show you where the pull string is. Come on, just pull right there. And
right.
No, it's not my job.
Right. And so this goes to the humanity thing. I love that what you quoted the guru that you were speaking of's observation is something to the effect of you know you're enlightened when you see me as I am. And so what that sounds to me like is one of the principles that we have in the four constants, which is withdrawing projection. So I can only see you as you are if I withdraw all of my projections upon you,
Right.
which are essentially beliefs about you that are actually about me.
Right.
So if I can pull those back, and that's a practice. That's part of what we do here in the accountability practice, is learn to identify our projections and then learn to figure out how to withdraw them so that reality itself is what we're left with, which is the goal here.
An example came up while you were talking about that. I was walking on a levee road one day with this person, significant person, and the sunset was just magnificent. And then I got all like, I'm gonna like define the colors in the sunset, and I'm like, it's this pinkish, orangish, hue-ish. And she said to me, "Don't describe it, just look at it." and that's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Don't describe it, just look at it and feel, and that's it. Whatever it is, that's Sadhguru, that's me, that's you. Just look without some kind of identifier or qualifier, and just see that, and then take a breath.
Yeah. It's funny, take a breath. Well, as I've been struggling with this energy that I've been dealing with for the last 12 hours or so, what I noticed is I don't breathe.
Oh,
and what I found was I was even having a hard time breathing when I noticed I wasn't breathing.
yeah.
It's like I could feel the whole core clenched. It's like I'm not going to let you breathe. It's like, wow, that's really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I have gotten to the point where I automatically take deep breaths and one of my cues is trying to figure, as soon as I get into this kind of like trying to figure it out, I go, oh, wait a minute, pay attention, go back to my attention, go back to listening, go back to whatever it is that works for me now, instead of like having an agenda. So,
Right.
yeah, deep breaths.
There's a part of what caught my ear as you've been sharing today is this idea of what our friend Rodney Jones calls taking refuge in reality. Because the work here is to just be in with what is.
Yeah.
And what is can include unwillingness to be with what is. Just noticing, I don't want this. It's like, okay, that's what is. I don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
And because the training that we had, the training that I had was to be hypercritical of everything that doesn't fit some bizarrely never stated preconceived pattern.
Right.
It's got to be this way, although I can't find a manual that lists what this way is supposed to be. Somehow I'm supposed to know that. And then every deviation from this way becomes an object of ridicule, emotional violence, criticism, separation, hatred. And it's like,
Yes.
well, there's a catch-22 for you.
Mm-hmm. I got another example of that too. Again, the significant person. When I wash a table or spoon and I put it on the counter like a towel, I turn it so that it's face down. And okay, like the water drain.
Right.
My partner had it face up.
Uh-oh. Is this like the toast? Is this like the burnt toast?
This is like the burnt toast. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Don't you understand that water flows down? It's like and it settles in a bottom. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, shut up, John. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so I have all these little details about even how to do dry dishes. It's like, okay.
For want of a nail.
Yeah. Yeah. So
let me ask you, does the toilet paper go over, away from the wall, or over toward the wall?
In my bathroom, it goes away from the wall.
What's the right way? Yeah, that's right. Away from the wall.
Unless you got a cat.
But one of my
Unless you got a
dearest,
cat that like does that,
right.
and it goes in towards the wall because then it
Right.
won't unravel.
One of my dearest
Okay.
friends explained to me why that's absolutely the wrong way to put your toilet paper on. And her explanation was, it made a whole lot of sense. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Whatever
I'm still not
I-
changing.
whatever I believed, I could find copious amounts of evidence to prove myself right. If I was in the presence of another person that believed the opposite, they had copious amounts of evidence, literal empirical evidence to prove their side. And I've like gotten out of that argument. Oh, cool.
Yeah, you sound like you just described our general way of doing political discourse in this country.
Oh my God. That's a extreme example of right, wrong, good, bad.
But it's also the challenge that we face. If you're open to it, let's talk a little bit about this. So how do I have a conversation with somebody who is utterly convinced that the toilet paper can only go one way?
Well,
and I know for a scientific fact that that's a specious argument.
Specious?
Yeah, that's an argument that holds no water.
Okay, I want to offer any argument is specious. And if we can be as bold, if we want to get bold,
No, let's go for it.
okay, the Republican Democrat argument is specious.
Is that because the issue is never the issue?
The issue is never the issue. So it's like, I don't feel loved, do it my way.
Right.
The
And
other
then if you
person's-
do it my way, that'll be a nice substitute for being loved.
Yeah, and then everybody be happy and everybody be, yeah. And both sides hold that as truth, honest, downright, literal, empirical truth. And boom. And the real question is, do I feel loved? My answer when I was in whatever argument, whether it's the spoon, the dish, the soap bubble, burnt toast, I'm not feeling loved. I don't know what it feels like to be loved. And the only person now in my adult life that's capable of giving that to me is me.
Right.
I mean, once I started accepting myself and giving myself love, I saw that what I projected onto other people as not love was actually the love I was looking for.
Huh.
It's like, what the hell is this?
Say that again, if you would.
Okay.
Help the newcomer
I don't
figure
know
this
if I
one
can.
out.
Let me put it in these terms. Here's an example. I would come home and my partner at the time would say, where the hell have you been? Well, I saw that as an argument. What do you mean? Who are you talking to? Who do you think I am? You can't treat me like that. What are you trying to do? Emasculate me? It's like, I'm a grown person. And what I wanted was to be in a loving, caring, nurturing relationship. So once I learned to love, care, and nurture for myself, I came home one day and the person said in a very emphatic voice, where the hell have you been? And my statement was, oh, I'm glad you asked, and I see that you're concerned. Let me tell you where I've been, because I see you've been worried about me and that you love me. It's like that. It was in the statement that I was totally against before. It was right there in front of me. All I had to do was answer the damn question. But to me, a question was a setup. I got to answer. I got to find the right answer, or I'm screwed. And this was all internal with me. So the thing, I don't know how I said it before. So
you said something like, the thing I'm pushing away is the thing I'm absolutely looking for.
Actually, it was what I was looking for. It's like, I was, another example is, I was talking to my daughter about my proclivity for non-communication, for being quiet. And we were talking about it, and I was like, well, I'm trying to like defend myself. And then she said, Dad, it's like you're not interested. And that like, oh, I get that. I get that. I can see how, yeah, I can see how she, so I started asking questions. I started inquiring. I started being interested in her life. And it's amazing. It's like, yeah, it's, I do an exercise with people in my groups where, what is that thing you're most afraid of being called, or that you think is the worst place you can be? And it's like somebody like doormat, or emasculated, or for a man it would be emasculated by a woman. And I said, well, become willing to go into that be willing to be emasculated and see what's there. And in my willingness to be emasculated, I found what I was looking for was the loving, caring, nurturing that I wanted. It was in what I had projected as emasculation, and it wasn't that at all. It was actually communication on a deeper level than how are you? Everything's fine. How'd your day go? Good. And that was like, what else do you want from me? And it's like, oh, some conversation, some interest in that, you know, I'm here to support you and love you and share with you.
Yeah, dialogue can be a vehicle of connecting to one another.
The great minds of our time were asked, what's the solution to the global dilemmas? Famine, war. Their one word answer was dialogue. So if they think that that will cure the global dilemma, I'm pretty sure it's going to solve any dilemma I'm faced with, including the burnt toast and the spilled milk and the toilet paper issue.
But let's be clear, especially again for the relative newcomer, is that this takes practice. This to willfully and regularly consciously engage in dialogue takes practice, at least for me.
Yeah.
Because it is not my default position to do that.
Right.
My default position, particularly when I'm experiencing any kind of stress, is to withdraw.
Right.
There is no dialogue when I'm withdrawn.
Right.
And so I have to learn, it's kind of what you were saying about your daughter. You had to learn to demonstrate interest.
Yes.
Now, these are my words. You had to learn to demonstrate interest in a way that she got it, that you were interested.
Yeah.
Because you may have been interested before, it just never occurred to you to ask.
Right.
So now you had to retrain yourself. And this is the challenge that we face in this accountability practice. It's not a silver bullet. It's something that takes daily practice, because we're retraining a traumatized mind to heal from the trauma and to be able to face the glories of a healed life.
Yes.
And for me, like, again, I've been doing this work for 10 years and I still felt agitated, pissed off, closed in, wanting to withdraw over the last 12 hours.
Yeah.
And
face mask.
And knowing that I know better.
Yeah. Yeah. Here I am again.
Yeah. So in the diagram that you have in your workbook of the accountability tree, at the very bottom, we have 2 red lines looking like a heart going all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And repeat.
And repeat. And repeat.
And like, that's okay. I give myself permission to not get it right every time. In fact, I give myself permission to never get it right.
Yeah, I tell people, as ridiculous as this may sound, try it. Just try it. See what if it doesn't work in a little while, just go back to what you were doing. It's fine. You know, you're good. Give it an attempt and see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
But I do notice that it's tough. I talk to people about this process, and I'd say I note that a lot of people come and kick the tires of it, but they don't stick around. And people who would say, "Well, this is tough stuff, Marty. This is tough stuff because the internal mindset and emotional mindset that we're dealing with is determined not to change."
Right.
And in fact, it can't allow itself to change, because then it would be opening itself to mortal peril. And so this is the energy that we're dealing with. A traumatized little kid who wants love, and this is a word I learned from you, but finds love is dangerous. So we're caught in that pretzel logic. I want it, I can't have it. If I get too close to it, I need to back away. And then it's this sort of this back and forth that I do emotionally until I come into an intervention with a loving, caring person or group, if I'm doing this work in a group, and I convince the little kid that we're going to let our guard down and see what happens, and nothing negative ever happens. In fact, the opposite is what happens.
Yeah.
Something kind, something healing, something generous, something fun is what occurs.
Yeah.
And after doing this for 10 years, there's still a scared little kid, and there's still a scared little kid inside me going, I don't know.
One of the things that came to me while you were talking is that in that medicine woman statement prayer is that I'm not here to fix you because you're not broken. And in my example of life, parents, school, everybody, it was, we were groomed to help people to fix the problem. And then I come along or you come along and say, well, nobody needs fixing. It just does not. It's like, that doesn't even compute. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Of course I'm going to help you. Of course I'm going to help you get fixed. Well, it's like, how do you see this traumatized individual and say that you're not broken? It's like, it's obvious to the casual observer that you're highly broken. Just listen to me and we'll like get everything okay. Well, that's what created the need to fix, is me thinking that whatever I was going through wasn't real because people told me how to do it. My parents were trying to help me be a good person by punishment, by chastisement, by ridicule, by humiliation, through trauma. And so I grew up and it's like, this is like, I call it the point of reference. I say something that has no point of reference to hook to, and that's how we think, that's how we cognate, is have a point of reference to refer this statement to. If it matches up, it's something we know. If it doesn't match up, it's something new. And that's where I stay, is in this new place. And then hopefully the people will ask questions. And what I'm doing, what I know is happening, I'm offering them simply a different point, a bigger point of reference.
Exactly.
To get new information. And the new information is, I'm not broken. It hurts. Don't get me wrong. It hurts. It causes chaos and it causes drama. It causes pain. Yes. Am I broken? No. No.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger pushbacks that I've experienced with people that start this work, and they hear us say that, and sometimes people get angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how dare you tell me I'm not broken?
Right. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I will say you're misinformed. I will say somebody lied to you about you and how it works. That's true. What they told you life is, it was their perception, their projection onto you. You picked it up with courage and try to make it work. That's courageous. So,
well, especially given how young we were when we picked it up.
Yeah,
and how few resources we actually had to bring to our own aid as a 2, 3, 4-year-old.
As 2, 3, 4-year-olds, we were sensing beings. We sensed energy. So if my mother held the energy that I'm not good enough and she said, I love you, I equated those two things as the same. I love you, I'm not good enough. And it became who I was in my subconscious reality of who I am. And that was a lie that was hooked into the survival mechanism and my creative mechanism, and just simply manifested this over and over. I'm not good enough. That's why you love me. I'm not good enough. That's why you love me.
And that's so based on what I heard you say a minute ago. So that became your frame of reference.
Yes, that's the point of reference is if you think I need to improve, I get that you love me, because that's the experience I had with my mother and my father.
Right.
There was something wrong with me. Just try harder, John. You can get it. You're stupid right now, but just you'll be okay. Just learn. Think.
So then in adolescence and adulthood, we're attracted to potential mates who exude that same energy.
Yes. Yep.
Because that's what we sense we're looking for.
Yes, and it's nonverbal. It's pre-verbal. We learn that before we learn to identify and put labels on things. And it's an energetic frequency, and it becomes the point of attraction. So we attract people who will match that energy, and then blame them or ourselves for this shit ain't working out. After 6 months of bliss, then it like turns to like, whoa, who the hell are you? And how come you changed all of a sudden?
Right. I know that we've noted this before, but it still amazes me the ability to go into a room full of people and find that one person without any effort. It doesn't take any effort. You use the word energy field, and it seems even more subtle than that. There's something even subtler that goes on because it's so
quick,
instantaneous, and it's like, it.
Okay. So when I don't know about you, but when I say you're not broken, I'm seeing this energetic mechanism working perfectly, albeit misinformed.
Yep.
It's working perfectly, and it's not broken. It's been misinformed. So in the process of intentional living in the groups, we simply offer a new information. Not a new, it doesn't sound right, but we offer new information that's diametrically opposed to what you believe to be the truth subconsciously.
Right.
And then try to use your rational mind to rationalize and figure out, which, I mean, the only thing I came to is either you're wrong or I'm wrong. And I don't want to be wrong, because that means I'm bad. So the blame and judgment came in and reinforced the lie. So you walk into a room of people who are not in blame or judgment and say, oh, what do you want? And then offer you this idiotic, weird, what? Like, just say what I want, say like, oh, the end result, addict, I'm an addict, and that's the way out. And well, to feel the truth of that, yeah. I'm getting tangential, I think. It's like,
no, I think what we're getting at here is to help the newcomer just appreciate the process that we're going through here. That there's this, we talked about this, we raised the issue of this book last week on the notion of complex PTSD.
yes.
There's a process that's describable, and it's not merely psychological, but it's also neurological. So
Yes.
it's in the body, it's in the brain, it's in the endocrine system, it's in all of those elements, organs of the body that are designed there for our survival. The body's designed to get us through life.
Yep.
And to get us through life as healthily as possible. So the challenge is that these things occur, as you said, in the pre-verbal times of our lives, the trauma. So I just love that thing. It's like the energy says you're broken, and the words are I love you. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. That'd be tough enough for me as a 69-year-old man to process.
Yep.
So a 4-year-old, 3-year-old boy just has or girl has no option but to just believe it.
That's it. Yes.
And conform to it. So we conform psychologically and neurologically because we need to be loved.
Yes.
Not being loved is not an option.
Right.
And so then we go through these experiences and we end up as adults because these traumas were not healed. So they're still in us and they become a system, become a psychological, neurological system. Because they're not healed, they continue to defend us.
Yes, and we recreate the situational frequency.
Exactly.
That's why I walk into a group of 100 women. The one that thinks I need to change the most is the one I'm in love with.
Exactly.
And
And
the bad news
it's perfect,
about that,
like you said.
yeah, the bad news is about that she's in love with me. It's like, so it's like, oh my God, it's like a perfect, codependency match. It's like,
Right.
boom, we're enmeshed from the beginning.
Right.
And then at first I project all the things that I've lost onto her, like gregarious or funny or spontaneous. And those are the things I lost in my childhood. Then when we get in the relationship, I'm projecting onto her my resentment, bitterness, and contempt at both times, thinking it's her. It's not her that's having this experience, it's me.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you said, this is the result of misinformation.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing here is we're offering ourselves new information. So we're seeking to essentially, I don't know if this word's like, it's a word. We're essentially seeking to reprogram ourselves.
Yes.
With this new information. I am a whole, complete, perfect, beautiful human being.
Yes.
I give myself permission to experience flaws and errors and negative things, and I'm perfect, whole, complete, just the way I am.
Right.
To essentially reprogram that subconscious mechanism, that subconscious defense mechanism. And so what I would offer to somebody who's working on this in the earliest stages is that the most important thing that occurred for me was to be able to see this mechanism happening. And so as I was sharing at the beginning, I was going through this experience over the last 12 hours. I could see it. I knew it was going on. I didn't have the wherewithal in the moment to shift it.
Right.
So I gave myself permission to just be stuck in it, knowing that I would be talking to you, knowing that I will be going to a meeting, knowing that I will be meeting with other friends of mine in recovery, and that I can ask for help.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can't move it right now.
Right.
And so I'm going to just stay in agitation, and that's okay. It's not broken.
Right.
It's powerful. What is the word in AA? It's powerful.
Cunning, baffling, and powerful.
Cunning, baffling, and powerful. So, that's okay. As we've said in other contexts, and I think we alluded to it this afternoon, that system did its work.
Yes.
That system served its purpose.
Right.
That system got us here.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
It's not broken.
No. And I can choose to move from survival to thriving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what the accountability process allows me to do, is to just continue to work on that reprogramming of the subconscious, and to know that I don't have to do this alone. In fact, I can't do it alone. There's no such thing.
Right.
And borrowing language from the 12-step world, I trust in a higher power, or as I say in the unity work that I do, I trust in the divine presence, the omnipresence of the divine in me, in every molecule of my body, in every cell of my body, and every thought of my mind is divine. And that's why, from a theological perspective, nothing's broken. It's just,
right.
God can't be broken by definition.
No.
And so here we are.
And we'll say what we said again sometime in a different way, and we'll say what we say again. And yeah, I'm whole, perfect, and complete just the way I am.
So why don't we wrap up by taking a look at that prayer one more time.
Okay.
the medicine woman's prayer. And if you're watching this for the first time, or if you're watching this for the thousandth time, feel this, feel these words, feel what do you hear when you hear me say, I will not rescue you, for you are not powerless. I will not fix you, for you are not broken. I will not heal you, for I see you in your wholeness. I will walk with you through the darkness as you remember your light. So what this is saying, that we now can see each other as the light that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some alchemical power that allows me, if I'm in my darkness and you're there seeing my light, to begin to gravitate over to it. There's something in the healing power of love that allows me in my agitation to become de-agitated, to become calm, to become conscious, which is what light is a metaphor for, consciousness. I'm aware of the present moment. In the present moment, I have agitation, unhappiness. I'm feeling unloved. Okay, now I'm aware of it. What do I want? And that's the act of turning the light on. What do I want?
Mm-hmm. That's the beginning of all this, is identifying what you want that you do not have.
Then when I identify that, I set my intention to have it. And then that, in essence, is telling the higher power, this is what I want.
Yep.
And we engage in an implied act of trust that the higher power hears this, and my subconscious hears it, and there's already shift underway.
Yes. Instantaneous. And it may take you a couple months, years to catch up to it. And usually for me, it was somebody else telling me, oh, wow, you're different.
Exactly.
Like, what do you mean? And then they would tell me, and I go, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. From the inside, it's like I can't see it. And I'm willing to receive the feedback that tells me what the difference might be.
Yeah. It's a great process.
Mm-hmm.
So as we come to wrap up the month of July here, I'll leave you, as I like to do, with the last word. Any last minute thoughts, reflections?
Yeah, the other thing that came to me is identify what you want that you don't have. Once you know where you're at, which is not there, where we're like at peace or self-confidence or self-love, once you recognize that you are not there, you're clear about where you want, and the direction appears to you. If you go to a shopping mall, and every pillar has got a map, and the only thing written on that map is you are here. And if the merchants in that complex thinks it's a good idea that you know where you're at so you can find them, I would support you to consider that if you know exactly where you're at, you can ask for something different. And until that happens, it's all confusing. That his fault, my fault, their fault, government's fault, blame and judgment.
So for anybody who would like to participate in one of our accountability practice meetings, please contact me or John. Our email addresses will be in the screen at the end of the podcast. We have meetings Monday nights, 6:30, Mondays and Thursday nights at 6:30 Pacific time. There's a men's meeting Tuesday nights at 6, and there's a meeting that John masters on Saturday mornings at 8:30. So if you'd like to participate in any of those, just come kick the tires. You don't have to participate. You can actually just come and listen. Please shoot us a note, and we'll be happy to send you the Zoom information. All these meetings are on Zoom, so they're available to you wherever you are in the whole wide world.
Yep.
So once again, John, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Marty.
And for your love. And
you're welcome.
I look forward to seeing what we come up with in August.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
you.